I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism.
Here we go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 123 of the Parenting Autism podcast. I'm here with Sandy, as usual.
Hello.
Hi, Sandy.
Hey, baby.
So, give us some bullet points for today.
Well, the first thing we will do is probably talk about Charlie, since we left the last podcast saying we would talk about Charlie.
Oh, you know what? First, while you're saying that, I want to apologize to our listeners in Kuwait. You are your own country, and you deserve it. Sorry about that. I think 2 episodes ago, I thought they were part of Iraq.
The last episode.
But they are their own family there. Sorry.
That is true.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll talk about Charlie.
Yep.
We will talk about just a few things that's happened the past couple weeks. Let's see. We've had a couple of dates we'll mention. The rodeo experience that Bryce just had.
Fun.
And Bryce made the transition to some different therapists. I'm going to talk about that briefly. We're going to talk about a surprise box that Bryce received from Australia. Mm-hmm. And if we have time, I have something else, but I won't say it in case we don't have time, because that should be plenty. Ha-ha!
No, you're supposed to tell them, stay tuned for whatever.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
We're good.
Okay, so Charlie.
All right. So Charlie is our neighbor's new puppy.
Yes.
And a couple of weeks ago, we were going to have game night. And we do a game night once a month with our favorite neighbors who live across the street from us. And her name happens to be Sandy, too. So shout out John and Sandy. But anyway, we started going to their house a couple years ago.
I think it all started at their house, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
And then as Bryce got a little bit older, it became easier to come here because it's Bryce's space and he has his stuff. And so we just kind of made that change. And that's been great. But I was working on a puzzle and it was too large for my puzzle thing.
It was taking up the whole table.
It was. And so anyway, we didn't have enough space to play. So you said, let's see if we can go to their house, which of course we knew wouldn't be a problem, except that they have the new puppy. So I just said, do you think Charlie's ready for visitors? And yeah, he can still, he gets excited. I didn't even think about the barking sounds. Never crossed my mind. And it didn't cross your mind. And
truthfully, has he ever really had a meltdown over barking before?
Not to this extent that we had this time. I mean, we've seen him kind of shrink up, but then the dogs get over it and then he's okay, right?
So we get there, and as soon as they opened the door, Charlie was barking.
Yeah. And he was excited.
And he was out, right?
They were holding him. One of them was holding him. So
there was the constant barking. And it was, to be fair, it was ear piercing.
It's a puppy with a high-pierced, excited bark.
A loud bark.
Yep.
It's a small dog with a big bark.
Yes.
So, and I could see the tears welling up in his eyes.
As could I. Right away.
We didn't bring his headphones.
No, because we didn't think about it.
We didn't expect it. And the dog just kept going. Ruff, 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 ruff. And it was like, oh my goodness. I understand, kind of how Bryce is feeling right now, overwhelmed because there was no pause in the barking, right?
No. And so then I'm trying to talk to Bryce as I can see barking. It. Yeah. And I'm saying, are you going to be okay with this?
And I already
Are you okay? I knew, and I could see him trying to be brave and hold the tears back.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we can step outside. Do you want to go get your headphones? I was going there, but before we could go much further, he collapsed to the floor. And
he hasn't done that.
It's been a really long time.
A long time. So.
And it was sad. And
I was sad for him.
I was, and they did too. They felt terrible.
Yes.
And we're like, And they don't know what to say or do, you know.
Right. And we didn't either. We were kind of like, I feel like we were all just kind of in shock. Like, oh my God. It was like frozen in time.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'll go. Well, first I tried to get down beside Bryce to console him. But you could tell that, no, that's not going to work. And when Bryce lays to the floor now, it's just like, I'm dead. That's what he'll say, and that's what he thinks. And there's no movement. There's no sound. There's no crying. So I said, I'm going to go get his headphones.
So when you left.
Yeah, so then what happened?
John, very graciously, he was just trying to talk to Bryce and, you know, get him up off the floor.
Yeah.
And so Bryce... They have a treadmill there, and there's like a fan in there.
Okay.
And so I think at some point he crawled over to this little fan, and said he wanted to try to hurt himself with the fan.
Oh, did he?
And I don't think you knew that part.
No, I did not.
So I'm like, no, we don't want to do that. And so, you know, they put the dog away, I think, in the crate, right?
They did.
So then...
Or his little cage, yeah.
Yeah, his little cage. And Bryce was still having a hard time, and I thought to myself, well, if we get him on his iPad, that will distract him from everything that has happened. So, So I was like, hey, John, quick, what's your internet password, right? And John's like, oh, I don't know what it is right offhand.
No.
So, and you know, most people don't know what. I couldn't tell you what ours is.
Me either.
So he goes over and looks it up, and we get his iPad connected, and it was... Bryce really had to work through that, and it wasn't too long after we got the internet connected that we talked to him.
He was still on the floor when I came back.
You came back with his headphones, and he didn't want to go home.
No, he wasn't bolting out.
No, he didn't mention like he wanted to leave. So we got his headphones on him, and how did we get him up off the floor?
I think we did some tickles.
Yeah, I think
that really does turn it around for him. So
yeah, and I'll say that I don't even know why, but he was able to tell us one day, whenever something happens, Daddy, tickle me, and
it will help me be better.
It helps him get through it, and I don't understand what it is, but
it's a chemical brain shift for him because it puts in those happy endorphins for him, and it helps take him out of his funk. So that's what we did. And
so we got through it. Yeah. You know, the dog kind of chilled out.
And he did. He was quiet the rest of the night.
I get it. He's a puppy. He was excited to see people, and we just all didn't know what to do.
I know. So that was Charlie.
Yeah, that was Charlie.
And our meltdown. But it was good, and we
had
worked
a great
through
game
it.
night.
We sure did. And Bryce did excellent after that.
He did.
Everything was great, and Charlie did good, and
everybody was okay.
But my puzzle's done, and the table's clear, so we'll host again next time.
Yes.
So, yeah, you know what? Just kind of on the tail end of that. So, yesterday we were at the rodeo, and we took Bryce, and we invited Michael to go with us. And that's Bryce's best friend we've talked about a lot and wrote about in the book. So, anyway, so Michael knows Bryce really well because they've been friends and around each other for over 5 years. And I said to him, because, so we're taking Michael to a special events rodeo, which we'll talk about.
Special people.
What did I say? Special events? Sorry.
Yeah.
An event for special needs. That's what I meant to say. And so there's Down syndrome. There was autism. There were other disabilities or special abilities, whatever. I try to be, sensitive to all those words. But anyway, for Michael, it was probably eye-opening in some ways because he's not in that environment where he's got so many people there at one time. He's used to Bryce, right? But he totally enjoyed it, and he's such a compassionate little kid. He was totally fine with it. But I thought, I wonder how different this is for him. So I said, hey, Michael, can I ask you a question? Like, yes. I said, so do you see a lot of differences between Bryce and your friends that you have at school? And he said, a little, with some. I said, do you see differences like with the way Bryce thinks and the way that he talks to you and things like that? And he goes, No, not really that big of a difference with the talking and the way he thinks. I said, yeah. I go, what's the bigger difference? And he said, the meltdowns. And I said,
okay.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, that's true. And I said, but he hasn't had any in a while. I forgot about Charlie. But I said, but it's been good. And he said, like at the elevator when we went to the hotel. And I said, yeah, that was a bad one. And that was the one back in January. And where he was hitting himself in the face. That was a bad one.
I forgot.
The button. Michael pushed the button and forgot they were taking turns.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Bryce really was like whacking himself hard in the face.
Yeah.
That would have freaked me out too.
Yeah.
So I was glad that he was able to tell me that.
Him and Michael do get into these competitions.
Oh, yeah, they compete on things. And that wasn't a competition. It's just they both love elevators and they had an agreement and Michael forgot the agreement. That's all. But I can see where that would be a big difference between his other friends. The beauty of that is that Michael understands that is related to his autism. And it is. And he'll say, that's because he's autistic, right? And I said, yeah, that really is tied to that. And and he's like, but I'm not autistic. And I said, no, you're not autistic. No. You know, and that's okay, which is great because there's things that you can help Bryce with because you're not. And so I just thought that was a good and little interesting conversation. And it's always good feedback for us to know. And the fact that Bryce isn't that much different in the way that he talks and the way that, you know, like other thing outside of the meltdowns, if that's the only thing that he's saying that's really different, I think that's a win.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And like today, actually twice since we've done the last podcast, we've taken him over to the swimming pool of some friends. And if they have a daughter that is just a month younger than Bryce, and then another daughter that's a couple of years younger, and they've known Bryce since he was 2. But, you know, they love being around him, and Violet's helping him learn how to swim, and it's just, we've been really, really blessed and fortunate that we have some children in his life that do want to be his friend, love him for who he is, and have learned how to accept him for who he is. But even with Violet, I remember that time we went to their house and he said, but he's so weird, Dad, you know, and then I took time to say, that's okay. Can you tell me why you think he's weird? And it had to do that he wouldn't look at her. So then I had to explain why he wouldn't look at her and that he had autism, educate her. And that's what we've had to do. So any listeners, I just want to say, you know, as the parent, you just got to educate and help friends know and create the opportunities and don't give up on that. Because especially when they're younger and you think, oh, they're not going to have any friends, it's not going to come naturally, most likely.
Yeah.
But it can happen, and I would cherry pick those friends. Go with people that you know, that you feel safe with, and that you know the parents are going to be supportive too. If you can find those, hold them with both hands and treat them like gold. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of forgot what I was going to say, but it's a good relationship. And when we went to leave the pool today, you could just tell that the kids were just so happy to have him there, you know.
Oh, and yeah. When we said, well, it's time for Bryce to go. And it's like, no, don't leave us, Bryce. You know, so it's good stuff. Yeah. And this summer, so we homeschool Bryce and we homeschool him year round. And we gave him the month of April off, and then we started back up in May. And so he's got a good rhythm and flow going now. And we've got our new schedule.
And he was questioning. He's like, well, why do I have to go to school all year round and everybody else gets the summer off?
I know. We're like, well, you got April off. And he gets a lot of flex days. So what I told him was for the summer, because he does have several friends that are out of school, we're going to do Fun Friday. So you can do your classes with him on Friday morning, but then when you go to work, then I'm going to have all my stuff done with him Monday through Thursday, and then we're going to have Fun Friday, and we'll be doing something fun with a friend. This past Friday was the rodeo.
Right.
But
this Friday we'll be at a conference.
Yeah. But he'll be having fun. But normally I'm going to try to include a friend and throughout the summer while we can do that and just have Fun Friday for him and, you know, and keep it social that way. So the rodeo, you want to go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Just to, like, the highlights of what they got to do?
Yes. So I started this Facebook page for our Special Olympics group in our county because we felt like we could get to know each other better and be better informed about events and what times and dates that they took place for Special Olympics. And it's been working out great. We have over 100 people from our county on that page, and we're all helping each other. And so one of our friends, Ashley, and her daughter, Cheyenne, they've been to this special needs rodeo before. And they Ashley reached out to me and said, hey, they have an extra spot, and it's in a city that's kind of like 45 minutes away. It's not in our county. She said it's not Special Olympics related, but they do this every year. They do like a rodeo for special needs kids, and you go and do rodeo-like activities, but with fake animals and things. And she said, you guys do so much with Bryce. I thought you would be interested in this. So
I was going to say, and the irony of that is that my parents have been watching this cowboy channel. So when Bryce has been over there the past month, he's been watching the cowboy channel, and then we get this invite, and it was like, oh, I guess we were meant to take him to a rodeo experience.
Yeah, so he, from watching TV, he's like, I really want to do barrel racing. And I'm like, okay, so, and apparently they do have barrel racing for younger kids. We'll have to look into that later. But in any case, we took Michael, and we got there, and I would say there's probably 25 special needs kids there.
I'd say around 20.
And they were so, I mean, there are people. What can we say? It's just, we feel at home with these families. Yeah. It's just, they know.
And when we say kids, I mean,
there were some adults.
Adults as well, but
anybody that's younger than me, I call a kid.
I know.
So anyway.
All ages.
Yeah. So they had a goodie bag there for them. They had T-shirts. And
the first question Bryce asked the guy was, am I doing barrel racing?
Yeah. Am I riding a real mechanical bull? So,
but they had the racing, and they're like, well, you'll be doing it with the stick pony.
Yeah.
So
and he's like, what's a stick pony?
Right.
Yeah.
So they bring out the stick ponies. They weren't kidding. Yeah. They had like these cones set up. And so Bryce they said, put the stick between your legs like you're riding a horse, and go, and you go around. And they demonstrated it for him. He could not get it. He's holding his stick up there. The horse's head was up by his head. He's just running around holding it.
Running around with the stick
pony. He did not know what to do with
and he
the
ran
stick
around
horse.
the barrels like it was a baseball game, not the way they showed him. So everybody got a kick out of that. And I'm like, okay, well, he's playing baseball. He's running around the bases. So we did that. And they pair up the special needs people with high school students.
Yeah, they have volunteers there that were like buddies for each of them.
So these high school students, they're involved with the rodeo, and they volunteer to help.
Yeah.
And so they pair them up with one person, and we got this really nice young lady, and Ansley.
Mm-hmm.
And so she helped Bryce rope a fake calf,
right? Around the head.
And he was so excited to do that. And then Michael tried.
Yeah, Bryce actually did it.
Yeah, he got the rope around it.
Yeah.
And Michael
did
tried,
it. Yep.
And then Michael did the stick pony, and then they tore the thing off the goat tail.
Yeah, Michael did that.
I don't know what that's all about.
I'm not sure either, because I don't know what event that goes.
So pull the flag off the goat tail.
Pull a ribbon off the goat.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what
and
that
Bryce
is
allergic to goats. We're pretty certain about that. Yeah. So he did have some allergies kicking right when we got there, and I was like, oh, man. And I think it affected him a little bit.
His mood,
Yeah. But
so he's like, I was rubbing his eyes. So I understand. Listen.
I did too.
So they had a bull, but it was not a mechanical bull. It had like a handle on it. So Bryce climbed up there, and the guy takes the handle and he moves the handle around in slow motion.
Yep.
And he counts to 8 seconds because that's how long they ride a bull. And so him and Michael did that
several times. They really love that.
They like that a lot.
They did have live horses, 2 of them.
So Bryce got on the horse and rode around the arena with, being led. That's what I was looking for. And then we were talking to Michael. Hey, have you ever been on a horse before? No. And you want to try? Oh, no. And he just smiles. He's so cute. And I said, okay. And so Bryce came back and he's like, Michael, you want to try getting on the horse? And you could tell he was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And we're
Bryce
like, look.
Bryce goes, face your fear, Michael.
Face your fear. Yeah. And so I think once Michael saw how slow it was, the rise and how...
Yeah, and we told him.
Dangerous.
I told him, I said, this is your safest opportunity to ride a horse. Because these are gentle horses that are great with kids. You've got the saddle there. You've got people here to help you. This will be your safest opportunity to do it. And then once he did it 3 times. He
wanted to do it again.
Yeah, he loved it.
So that was terrific. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, they presented these belt buckles from the high school seniors. I guess these are belt buckles that they won or got from a prior rodeo that they participated in. So they take their old belt buckles and they give them to
donate them.
They donate them to the special needs, and each kid got one, or each special needs person got one. And I heard Bryce's door open, so he might be coming in. But anyway, we did that, and he was also intrigued with the humongous ceiling fans that they had there.
Yes, he was.
I mean, these things, I've never seen one bigger than, those were huge.
Yeah.
And so he's like asking the guy, who's going to turn those on? Where's the switch? What's going on? So then somebody turned them on, and he was so excited. Him and Michael both.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they got a picture with the rodeo queen, and
Michael really liked that.
Yes, he got the rodeo queen's phone number.
Yes, he did.
He's sneaky, and
and Bryce is oblivious to all of that.
Yes.
Again, Bryce's girlfriend is Auntie Sue, so it's all good.
So then we had pizza, and it was really a great morning. It really was.
It was. That was a great experience. Yeah. So we're happy, and that's one thing is we do look for new opportunities for Bryce, and never know what they're going to be, but it just gives him more things to learn, more exposure to different elements. You wanted to take him back to the rodeo Friday night for the real rodeo, but Bryce was afraid of that, and he'll tell us reasons that he's afraid. I think I shared last time, I don't know if I did or not, about how he was afraid to go back into that Disney arena because he felt it was going to turn into a hand and crush him.
You did say that, yeah.
And so this time he said that he was afraid to go into the rodeo because what if one of the horses crashed into the stands and then all the bleachers would collapse.
Yeah.
And so I think this still comes from the 9/11 collapsing,
or the Alien movie,
or I don't know. Yeah, the Alien. We've had a few things
flashbacks.
that somewhere in there if he's not sure of something being safe, he's not going to get on it.
So we're not sure if he was really concerned about that or if there was something else, but in any case, we honored that, and we didn't go, and we did something else that evening.
Yeah.
So,
and that baby, I do think that's something he may enjoy at some point. But then another thing that's always wise to do and ask is like, what all does happen in a rodeo? And thankfully, our friend Ashley, who had invited us there, she's been to plenty of them, and she warned us it does get very loud. And
she told us where to sit.
She told us where the speakers were, so you would know don't sit in this area. Definitely go to the top. Just different things like that. So if you are going to try new experiences, just do that homework and ask questions, because we know the more we can prepare, the better it will usually go. There can always be surprises, but you never know. So I think those were the biggest event highlights. Including for Bryce the past couple weeks. You and we had mentioned last time that we're reading through that book that we received, and that we're really trying to take May and June and focus on Chris and Sandy. It's our birthday months, and the gifts to ourselves is working on our own relationship and marriage, right? So we're trying to bring some fun into it where it's just us. And so we did a painting night. And
that was fun.
That was fun. And we were able to go, and it just happened that we were the only two in the class.
Yeah.
So it
we
felt
were the only
like
two signed up.
I'm like, thanks, babe, for renting out the studio for
Yeah,
us,
I
right?
know,
It felt like that kind of a day.
And the teacher was great.
She was great. It was relaxed. We both really enjoyed what we got to paint. We have them on display in the house here so that we
Very
have that
colorful sunsets.
reminder. Yeah, and it kind of matches the room we got them in. And so it was a good date night, that we could go and do that. And then we had another night that we went out to dinner with for your birthday with my brother and his wife. And afterwards, we were like, you know what? Let's go bowl a game, because Bryce had bowled in the morning with Special Olympics. And
he was still with Mamaw.
Yep.
So we're like, okay.
All right. So we went over and
bowled a game.
Yep. And I really felt like I was on a date. And I even told you, I said, I feel like I'm on a date.
Yeah, it was
And
nice.
I think because I bowled, and when I was in high school, bowling was the date that we would do.
And now at our age, we're like, okay, well, let's just bowl one game and see what hurts afterwards.
That's what we did. That was the litmus test. Good news.
I think we did good.
Nobody was super sore afterwards.
Right. So we'll consider that again.
We'll consider that again.
Although it was expensive.
I will say that.
How much was it total?
That was
$40 for one game
almost
each?
for $1. Yeah, 30 something. It was $6.
It was like
$6 for shoes, and
you don't have to calculate.
I don't know. It was a lot of money.
It was between $30 and $40
but you know what?
for one game. But
we
it
had
was
a fun
great.
time.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that. Anyway, so and I will say that we have been working on our marriage, and I don't say that's bad, but I think that's something you should always be working on. Always be working on.
Yeah, and we've heard a lot of people say that,
or investing in it.
Yeah, and I think up to until recently, I don't know if we've taken it for granted, or we rarely have arguments.
Right,
things go smooth, but we didn't realize that we needed to put some more effort into it and get closer again.
I think that's it. It's ours is more like what they call a slow fade, because you're right. We get along very well, but you don't want it to be where you just become roommates and you don't hardly talk, and you don't really stay connected. You got to reconnect the areas that become disconnected, whether that's communication, whether that's physical, whatever that may be. And that's really where we've been focusing and reconnecting some areas. And we have our first night away in a couple years on the books for this month for my birthday. Yay!
Happy birthday.
So we're looking forward to that. And that's a big deal for us, because that's not something we get.
That's rare.
All the time, for sure. I mean, we're talking years.
Yeah.
So, and Bryce is really excited about that too. So he's totally cool with it. And I just wanted to say, that's really important. And then the other day, you sent me an email and you said, I'd like to do this, send you an email and check in with you. How are you feeling? How are you feeling emotionally? How are you feeling spiritually? How are you feeling physically? Is there any way that you want me to pray for you right now? And then you were so proud of yourself. I came up with that all on my own. And I'm like, that was great, babe. Because sometimes it's easier to write things than it is to say them, because you can kind of go back and change your words if you need to. Or
well, sometimes you have a quiet time during your day, but your spouse isn't there, right? So you can't share it in person. So I thought, well, let me just write out this email and check in on you.
Yep.
And I think it's such a great tool. So this is a tip for everybody, is just write your spouse an email and ask them how you can pray for them, and how, I capitalized you in the email. I said, I want to know how you are doing, right? Just how are you?
And I told you. Yeah. And it was easy for me to write back and
so now we'll do this, what we say, once a week or once a month or once every couple of weeks.
As we respond back and forth.
Yeah, so what you have now is you have a record of how your spouse is doing. So when they come back and say, well, this is how I'm doing, how are you doing? And then you reply back to them, and you have it in the email thread. So you can go back and reference, okay, well, how, did they overcome this issue? Or, did they get help for whatever? Yeah. And you can look back and say, maybe they still need prayer for something. So,
and when you have it in writing like that, it's not like I'm just only going to write you back and talk about it. I think something came up today, and I said, well, go get your swimsuit. You said in there you'd like to do some fun form of exercise. Yeah. See, that gave me something
to think about.
And to talk about and to bring up. Right? And yeah.
So I couldn't find my swimsuit, but
the thought was
there.
The
thought was there, right? So, but
that's good.
That's it. It is good, and it's a really great way to connect with your spouse.
It is. And
it is.
I think the reason why I have been able to say to you and to my friend that I was able to go out with the other night and really, check in with her. And I am in just such a happy place right now. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of peace and a lot of joy. And I feel that's because we are investing in each other so much. I have been able to have more time with the Lord in the morning, carving out some quiet time. I know God's aligning some things for us to do, which I'm not ready to talk about on the podcast yet. So I'll leave you hanging with that. But He is doing some big things, and we're going to be sharing them, just trying to get some more details together. Things are starting to come into focus. Yeah. So, but I just know that I'm where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that brings a peace.
It does.
That is hard to describe when you just know you're where you're supposed to be right now and doing what you're supposed to be doing, waiting when you need to be waiting, moving when you need to be moving. And I think it's important just to know those things, because if we move when we're not supposed to and we can't wait, things go wrong.
Right.
Because we take it into our hands. So, I'm just in a really, really good place right now. And as I was telling my friend, I know I'm on the mountain, and you're not supposed to look down at the valley. You're supposed to enjoy the mountain, and that's what I'm trying to do. Yep. I know a valley will come, but right now,
enjoy the view.
I'm just enjoying the view from the mountaintop, and it's really pretty. So, a couple little more things. I do definitely want to give a big shout out to Mr. Lee. So, I'm not sure if he listens to the podcast. I do know that he watches our YouTube video. He calls it a vlog, like a video log. But Mr. Lee reached out to us through our website, and he asked me if it would be okay if he sent Bryce some things from Australia. Sure, and thank you. And he just said he really admires Bryce and how strong he is, and how he's doing with his journey, and how he handles his autism, and it was great. And so I had no idea what to expect, but we had given him our address, and we knew that a shipment was coming from Australia, and it would take a little bit of time. So Bryce knew something was coming. So when he got the box, I did record that because we wanted Mr. Lee to be able to see that, and we have shared it on the YouTube channel. And but the things that he sent us, my goodness,
so thoughtful.
Oh, extremely thoughtful. And I told him he would be a great
ambassador.
He is an ambassador for Australia to get people to come and visit.
He's got brochures. He told us about his favorite places. There was a boomerang that was handmade from
an Indonesian. I don't know how you said that, but anyway, like a native there.
And
he sent a beanie from his favorite rugby team.
Beanie hat.
Yep, and a little stuffed animal koala bear. Just lots of really
thoughtful things. And Bryce loved it all.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
We looked at all the pictures in the brochures.
And he was very thoughtful, too, because he sent things that he knew would interest Bryce as well.
Like the whales and the dolphins.
Because Bryce does love those. Yeah. So anyway.
Thanks, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And yes, awesome. And if we ever come to Australia, we'll be sure to let you know. But
So
that
if
would
you
be a
live in
long flight
another
for
country,
Bryce.
reach out to us, send us what your country's all about. And
Yeah.
we'll share it with Bryce.
Yeah.
It's part of social studies.
Well, and that's what we're doing. We told Mr. Lee we're going to take these things, and
Yep.
Bryce has a globe, so we had showed him before he opened the box where Australia was,
Yep.
compared to where we are, and we're taking things and teaching him about the culture in Australia, which is
Yeah.
very cool.
Pretty amazing.
So thank you.
Yes. Speaking of YouTube, I think we forgot to mention it last time, but we did upload some new videos. One is our grilled chicken recipe. So
Yeah.
we got a video of that whole grilling operation for grilled chicken, and another video of why I switched from gas grill to a charcoal grill. And so
And we did the gluten-free, dairy-free pancakes.
oh yes.
Yep.
So
That meal too.
yeah, so those are good to watch. And Parenting Autism YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think there's several of them, though.
Is there now?
I think there are. But you'll see our logo.
Our colorful puzzle piece.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's what's on there.
Okay.
So I think maybe the last thing we'll just mention is, so we recently, last week we changed in June. We changed therapy places for Bryce's speech and for his occupational therapy. And I just really think this is important to share too. Sometimes you can make these changes and there's no wrong reason why you do it. There's nothing wrong with where you're at. You can love your therapists that are at the place you're at, but still feel a calling to go someplace else. That can happen, and
that's what
that
happened.
is what happened with us.
Yeah.
But
We
I
had
think-
some changes going on in our life, and my spirit, the Holy Spirit, just said, Bryce is no longer needed here. Bryce is to go back to where he was. And I'm like, okay. And I really felt strongly about it. And I don't,
You have rarely ever really
spoken
said
up
that.
like that, right? So I felt that was from God telling me,
Right.
This is where you're at in your life, and this is where Bryce needs to be. He needs to go back to where he was.
And the first time you mentioned it to me, you didn't include God in the equation. You said, I think maybe we should switch Bryce back. And, and I said, well, if you're worried about the driving distance, because it is further away where he was at, I said, don't worry about that. I pick him up and drop him off now. I have my little routine. I have my walk in the park where I go. I got my massage place there. I had it all set up, and it didn't bother me. I would take my books, and it was a good me time. So I'm like, don't worry about it. I got it, because it stressed you before driving through the traffic of our town back and forth.
Yes.
So I'm like, that's
But
gone
that
from
wasn't
you.
on me anymore.
Right, that wasn't on you anymore. And I really thought that would have been the only reason why you would say it, because that was the only negative thing, was your drive there to get him, right?
Yeah.
But that has changed.
And I felt like he needed to be closer to home because something else was going to occur.
Yeah, then you told me later, I know you gave me a little bit of pushback on it, but I feel strongly and I feel like God's really telling me this. I said, well, if God's telling you, that's a different story. So thank you for telling me that. And you said, would you at least go with me and let's take him there to
the old place.
To the old place and just see what it's about. I said, okay. And
see if anything's changed.
See if anything's changed or what it's supposed to be.
Yep.
And the last time I had visited there, it wasn't the best vibe because I'd taken Bryce. But when we went this time, totally different. And the first thing Bryce said when we walked in was, he says, oh, you got a new customization. Yes. Which means that they painted inside and changed the look.
Yeah.
But she's like, yes, we did get a new customization.
And the next thing out of his mouth was, when can I come back here?
He said, can I be one of the kiddos here again?
Yep. Can I be one of the kiddos?
That's how he said it 3 times during our time there. he looked. He says, "Daddy, can I be one of the kiddos here again?"
I'm like,
and we're like, "Oh,"
well,
and we didn't want to commit to anything, right? We're
it.
talking, and then it'd be another 10 minutes. We go to another room and see another therapist. Mommy, can I be another one of the kiddos here again? And then he went to the lady who's the manager there that he knows. He goes, "Can I be one of the kiddos here again?" I mean, he was
advocating for himself,
right?
And he's really never done it to that extent before. And
so it was like affirmation. I mean, we walked out, and they did get new owners, and there were some things that have changed, all
and
for
he
positive.
saw Miss Crystal, and he's like, "Oh, I love Miss Crystal."
I know.
And so, boy, he was just on it. Like from that point, we just went to look at the layout, see if the layout has changed, just get the vibe,
right?
And
because we did leave there for a reason. It was because Bryce was having trouble with all the crying from the younger
Well, that wasn't the
kids.
only reason. It was that metronome.
Right. But I'm saying that was like the one thing that was prompting us. And then the other place that we went to had the interactive metronome for him. And the occupational therapist also had so much knowledge about Bryce's vision therapy that he needed. Yeah. And that the others didn't have.
Right. So at the time, Bryce had a major aversion to babies crying, and they had a lot of kids there that were crying or screaming
that didn't
or whatever.
have language and
so that was building up. And then when the doctor recommended the interactive metronome to help him with his auditory processing disorder, we're like, okay, we have to find a provider. And so it was the one that was across town, and that was really the trigger that switched us from the old to the new.
It was the combination of the two things. And you know what? We knew at that time, this is meant to be, they were able to get a morning time slot where I could drop him off. Everything just worked the way it was supposed to.
Yes.
And the same thing this time. Everything timed the way it was supposed to. His plans were ending. So it was a good time for that.
Summer break was coming up.
Summer break and the new schedule. So it was a good time for that. And it was just what was supposed to be. And, I know that's transitions are always hard for the kids, and it's also hard for the therapist because they get
to know him.
They get to know him too, and I get that. But I hope anybody listening that works in that field will understand that those are not easy decisions for parents to make.
No,
at all.
It wasn't easy for us.
It was not easy for us. I know it's not easy for any parent to make a change like that. And in our case, we are people of faith who pray a lot, and we prayed about it a lot, and we just pray for peace. We pray for that every time we make any kind of major decision like that, especially when it involves therapies, doctors,
it's not spur
any
of the
type
moment.
of Bryce's care. There is a lot that goes into that, and so it's really important that everybody be understanding and respectful of that, because it's hard enough as it is without, anything else. But I always encourage the parents, don't be afraid to make those changes. And then I encourage anybody in the therapy field to understand and encourage those parents to make the changes if that's what they need to do. And then if they need to stay or you can make a change with them, great. But sometimes these changes are what's meant to be. It's seasons, and I just think that's really important to put out there for everybody.
Yeah. And Bryce, right out of the blue, just a couple of days ago, he just said, "Wow, Daddy, I really love my new therapy." I
didn't know it could be so fun. Isn't that what he told you?
Something
or
like
he's
that.
having fun.
I'm having so much fun.
I'm having so much fun, which is great. And he loved his other one, And when he was telling his therapist goodbye that last week, he said to one of the ladies there, he says, "Well," I wrote it down because it just kind of cracked me up. He goes, "Bye." And he called her name. "Bye. I guess I'll see you again in heaven." And she just looked at him. I said, "Well, honey, I don't know that we'll never see her again here on earth."
Right.
But he just knew he wasn't coming back,
In
his own way. It was so, so cute. But no, it was like, it was good. And Bryce has been happy. And it's all good for us, Like when we see that and we know he loved it there, but he loves it here, that's wonderful. And that's what you want for your child.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we can just tell that it worked out the way it was supposed to.
It was like affirmation for us. So when your son says that after his first week, you're like, "Yes, thank you, Lord."
Yep.
He's happy. It's good.
It's good.
So when he happy, we happy.
All right.
I think we can wrap it up for today.
Okay. Thanks for listening, people.
Thank you.
And leave us a review if you can. That's helpful.
It is very helpful. And we'll be back again soon.
Check out our YouTube and whatever else.
Plug it all. All
Plug
right,
it
Annie.
all. Book. Our book.
All right.
All right. See ya.
Bye.